Dickson, our reporter, is in Paris. He joins us now live. Thami, good to talk to you again. So the biggest development in these Paris climate talks has been this issuing of the new draft agreement. And while it is a simpler draft, there is still much to be settled, isn't there? What are some of the remaining challenges, Thami?
Well, that's very true, Natasha. It's been a very, very long night here after the release of the draft yesterday afternoon. We saw a frenzy of activities here. Different delegates and civil society organizations, churches, just everybody who is here going in different directions, trying really to interrogate the draft to see whether it is accommodative of some of the demands that have been made by different groupings and different governments that are here. What is now has come true is that there's a lot of unhappiness around the draft, even though it does provide lesser options than the previous draft that was released last weekend. And many people still see it as still very far from actually forming the basis of what they're desperately looking for here, which is a climate justice deal that will actually be a legally binding agreement. There are three issues really that are still outstanding that they need to deal with. One is the issue of climate finance, and it's a really big issue, the issue of climate finance, because the developing countries are really pushing hard that the rich countries must pay for the mitigation of the climate change effects. They've now introduced another finance that they need, which is financial support for loss and damages that they've already incurred as a result of the climate change. So that's one issue. Now you also have what they call differentiation. Now this is the sharing of the liabilities for the climate change damage that has already happened. The rich countries, they're saying not every developing country is a poor country that cannot afford to pay. And so other countries like South Africa, China, in India, and Brazil, and the Middle East countries, which are very rich in oil, they must be able to contribute as well. That is also another controversial issue that they need to deal with. The third issue relates to the temperatures in terms of how much can they allow the temperatures to rise. Some people say it's 2 degrees Celsius, but there's another argument now that comes up to say that no, that will be too much. Let's cap them at 1.5 degrees Celsius. That's also a very controversial issue that they still need to deal with. So today, going forward, we're going to see a lot of engagements and lobbying and trying to make sure that at least they find the common ground to be able to have a final agreement tomorrow. Natasha.
All right, and Thami, this agreement has some implications for Africa. Talk us through what it could entail.
Well, obviously, I mean, for Africa, if they don't get finance, it's going to be very difficult for many countries, because already the reason why they are struggling to reach a final agreement is because many poor countries, especially the island states and countries that are on the coast of the oceans in the African continent, they are saying they are already experiencing the effects of climate change. They can't wait for the next 5 years. They need money now to be able to make a transition to a world that will be, whose power will be generated through renewable energies. That's what they need. So they need money to buy these renewable energies. And also countries that are still using fossil fuels, like South Africa using coal, like many African countries that are producing oil, they also need money to be able to help them to move away from those fossil fuels to the new energies. It's still going to be a long battle here. I really don't see them being able to deal with all these issues in the 2 days remaining before they actually have to present the final agreement on Friday.
All right, Thami, unfortunately we've run out of time. We'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much for that update. That's Thami Dickson, live from COP21, the climate change conference underway in Paris. Well, from Paris to back home in Sandton, the disciplinary hearing